What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. It's 2025 and I've got some really beefy recording settings for you guys. Whether you're recording to put on YouTube, TikTok, wherever it may be, these recording settings for OBS are top tier. My recordings come out crystal clear, crisp, and nice quality. I'm constantly getting compliments on them. So if that's something you're in the market for, this is the video for you. But before we dive in real quick, if you are also a streamer or you're looking for some graphics to even throw into your recordings, you guys got to check out the sponsor for today's video, Owned.tv. Owned.tv is your one-stop shop for fresh new graphics for your stream. Whether you're on Twitch, YouTube, or Kick, you'll find something that's a perfect fit for your channel. They offer full themed overlay packages, which are great if you're trying to give your stream a complete makeover, but let's say you're looking to pick up some new alert graphics, don't worry, because they've got you covered there too. You could find single graphics such as alerts, emotes, banners, panels, and logos as well. And one of the best parts about these overlays is that they are completely modular. So if you and your friends all pick up the same overlay, such as this Rodan one right here, you could change the colors and tweak it to match your brand, and none of you will have the exact same overlay. If you're looking to take your stream to the next level, be sure to check out Own.tv using my link below to support the channel. And don't forget, use code HAMMER at checkout for an additional 50% off your order. Now, back to the video. All right, guys, so the first thing we're going to do is open up our OBS, and then we're going to jump down to the bottom right-hand section under Settings. In the General tab, there's nothing much we can do here aside from enable maybe source alignment snapping. What this is going to do is allow you to position sources inside your scene a little bit easier in this editorial window right here. So you can kind of move things around, and it will snap them to certain positions, and you could adjust the sensitivity of it. If that's of no use to you, completely ignore this section. Moving on to Appearance, I use the Yami theme for OBS. That's what makes it like this kind of dark mode theme. And then let's move to the streaming section. This is where you would set up your streaming settings. If you're using OBS for streaming as well as recording, you can log into your Twitch or your YouTube or whatever service you're using here. But this is a recording settings video, so let's move on. Jumping over to the output section on the left-hand side, we're going to go to the top under output mode, and we're going to select advanced. This is going to enable us to see all of the settings that we want to be able to see. On the tab right here, you're going to hit recording. Type is going to be standard. Your recording path, this is where you're going to select where you want your recordings to be stored. And under that, this is a pretty important section, the recording format, right? You could see here that I'm recording in MP4. However, I would not suggest most of you record in MP4. And the reason is that if my computer were to get a hiccup or blue screen or something right now while recording in an MP4, this entire video file would be corrupt. Now, instead, you can record in MKV. And I'll show you a setting later on that's going to automatically remux that MKV file into an MP4 when you hit the stop record button. So I would suggest recording in MKV so that you guys don't lose your videos if something were to happen and maybe you have a power outage or something like that. Maybe you're recording a 2-hour long playthrough of something. To lose that footage would be horrible, right? So I don't suggest recording an MP4 unless you're recording shorter videos. I record an MP4 because these videos are about 10 minutes long. If I really needed to redo it, I could. But I suggest recording an MKV, and we're going to turn a setting on later that will automatically turn that MKV into an MP4 later on. Under the video encoder section, this is going to be different for everybody. Unless you're using an NVIDIA GPU like me, I'm using a 3080 Ti, I use the NVIDIA NVENC H.264 encoder. Beautiful quality, great encoder, very, very low resource cost on your computer. So if you have an NVIDIA GPU, use this. If you have an AMD GPU, use the AMD equivalent. You don't want to use X264 because that's going to use your CPU to do the encoding instead of your GPU. Under audio encoder, I have mine set to FFmpeg AAC, audio track 1, rescale output. We want this disabled, and then everything else here, just copy what I have. Now, the next most important part here, and this is what's going to determine the quality of your recordings. For my rate control, I have it set to CQP, and my CQ level is 16. Now, you can bump this up to 20 for really not a noticeable difference. The lower the number here, the better the quality, but the larger the file size. Now, at 16 CQ level, these are some pretty massive file sizes that I'm dealing with. So I would suggest for most people, put this to 20, maybe even 22, and your recordings are going to come out nice. You could drop it down a little further. I would not suggest going any lower than 16, though. For keyframe intervals, set this to 2 seconds. For your preset, I have mine set to slowest, which is the best quality, but this is a setting that you can kind of set it to P7 and then drop it down if you're getting some performance issues on your PC. Maybe you're lagging, maybe you're dropping some frames, maybe you're dropping FPS in whatever game you're playing. You could drop this down to P6 or even P5, and it's really not that noticeable of a difference. For tuning, you want to set this to high quality. Multi-pass mode, set this to 2 passes full resolution. You could drop this down to 2 passes quarter or single pass if you need to. And for profile, set this to high, look ahead unchecked, cycle visual tuning is checked, GPU is set to 0, and max B-frames set to 2. Jumping on over to the left side again, under the audio section, this is where you're going to set up the audio for your recordings. I'll give you a couple of different scenarios. If you're using a gaming headset and a gaming headset microphone, for the desktop audio, you're going to set your gaming headphones or just default, whatever your system audio is, and the microphone, you're going to select your gaming headset microphone. I'm using a Go XLR, so my microphone, my headphones that I have over here, my PC's audio, my music, everything is being routed into the Go XLR and then routed out through one output, and that is my broadcast stream mix. That's why mine looks like this. If you're using a Yeti microphone, you're going to want to select your Yeti microphone here, and then under desktop audio device, you're going to put whatever headphones you're using. Scrolling down here, let's see if there's anything else. There's not much else actually in this section that's going to help your recordings. So we're going to jump over to the left-hand side and then hit the video section. Now, this is where you're going to set the resolution and FPS of your recordings. Your base canvas resolution is going to be what you're using, right? What your main monitor is. I have a 240 hertz 1080p monitor, so my base canvas resolution is 1920 by 1080. If you're using a 2K or a 4K monitor, that's the resolution you're going to set here, especially if that's what you're using for gaming or whatever you're doing. The output scaled resolution is what's going to be output to your recording. So if I were to change this 1920 by 1080 under output scaled resolution to 720p or anything else, that is what my recording would come through as. And if you do end up downscaling, that would enable these downscale filters, which you would choose Lanxos, the third option, which would be the most crisp downscale filter. And then for common FPS values, this is where you would select what FPS you want your recording to be. And you can record in 24 FPS, 30 FPS, or 60 FPS, really whatever you want. I record in 60 FPS, so that's what I have selected here. Other than that, there's only a couple more things. Hotkeys here, you can set up hotkeys on your keyboard for any functions within OBS. I use a Stream Deck and a Loop Deck, so I don't have any of those set. Accessibility, you can use some colorblind settings here if you want to change the color of anything in here. Under advanced, process priority at the top here, you want to keep this set to normal. If you set this to anything higher than normal, your PC is going to allocate more resources to OBS, which will in turn make you lag out in whatever software you're using, whatever game you're playing. It'll be sending more of those resources to OBS instead of what you're actually doing. Scrolling down here, this is that important setting I was talking to you guys about earlier. When I told you to record in MKV, you're going to check this box right here that says automatically remux to MP4. So this is going to change that MKV recording to an MP4 at the end of your recording, right when you hit stop recording. Very useful feature if you're recording really, really long videos. And I think that pretty much covers everything. So that's really it, guys. Those are my recording settings. I get so many comments saying, hey, what are you doing? Why are your recordings looking so nice and so crispy? Those are my settings. You can tweak them to your machine. If you have a little bit less powerful of a machine and you want to tune things down a little bit, there really is a lot of room there. You can turn things down and not lose that much quality. So don't be afraid to kind of just mess with it on your own. But if this video helps you guys out, hit that like button. It really does help me out a lot. Subscribe to the channel, and definitely jump over to my Twitch, twitch.tv/hammerdance. We stream Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much. I want you to keep those hammers up, and I'll see you next time.